This episode is brought to you by Working Class Zero. We had Mike on the podcast, super cool guy, and he's helping support the podcast. So if you could do us a favor, if you like the podcast, help support him. Go to workingclasszero.store and check him out on Instagram, working.class.zero. Thanks for listening. Okay, welcome to Cast and Crank Podcast. Today we have a really great swim bait maker, bigger company in my eyes. I've used Pearl Swimbaits, for a little while before, like when I first started. Gosh, I remember bought a box off a guy on OfferUp or something, and I think I bought a reel, and the dude gave me a box of swim baits, and they're all Pearl. And I remember using them like, oh shit,
Nice.
But so I'm kind of stoked. Yeah. So we have Mike Stembridge.
Mike Stembridge, yes.
Yeah.
Pearl Swimbaits. Thanks
Great.
for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, you've been in the game for a minute, right?
Yeah, 2005.
That's a long time, dude, for swim baits, right?
Yeah, I guess it's because I'm not so big. I'm not making too many places. Performance Tackle gets all my business, thanks to Mark.
Yeah, dude.
But it's a small biz, but it's been around. So the boys have done a good job of making a name for it. And from the small coast that we have, it doesn't take much for that to ring out. The fishing industry speaks loud.
Yeah. So did you start off fishing salt when you're younger, or were you a freshwater guy?
Freshwater
Guy?
El Dorado Park.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
And one of those guys, yeah. Born and raised Long Beach.
There you go.
Forever today, not leaving. Gonna have to bury me here. Throw my ashes in the park. I started as a little grommet with my grandma fishing bacon at the little duck pond on Studebaker.
Yeah.
And then that turned into early morning get-ups with the dad fishing 2 and 3 pound tests, spinning reels, small worms.
Man.
To Lake Paris and Casitas and Castaic when I was lucky. And then, I started to drive, and then all of a sudden college and high school. So Lakewood Country Club, started playing at night. Went to school at Harbor College to start, and Harbor Regional.
Mm-hmm.
With the gator that was in there, they had a gator back there. Yeah,
are you serious?
Yeah, they brought the crocodile hunter in there to try to catch him. It was crazy. Reggie was that alligator.
No
thing.
way.
But they had huge bass in there, and I was playing ball, and it was right behind the field. So called it the polio pit, actually, because if you've ever been to Harbor College, right. Not the best of Wilmington, but it's the best. One of the best set of years I had in my life, nonetheless. But the polio pit back there had a lot of bass back there.
Okay.
And I would fish over there and then come back to the duck pond after traffic and fish over there. And I didn't really have a clue as to what I was doing, but I caught a lot of nice fish.
Yeah.
A couple 2, 3, 10 pounders out of that little duck pond.
Oh man, that's nice.
Oh yeah, I drove them home in the car. Drove them home into what is now the worm shack, holding them up. My dad's shaping surfboards in the shack and holding up giant fish, bug-eyed out,
dude.
And it was kind of crazy. So that kind of that got me right there. Like, oh, there's this kind of stuff right around here.
Big fish, you're like, oh, it's got the bug. Really.
And I still didn't everything. I was all on worms. I was all plastic worms.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know anything. So, and I learned to spend some money on some gear. Went and bought some gear, a couple lures. Went back to that park and caught about a 12-pound pacu.
Are you serious?
It was crazy. It was giant, man. I was like, dude, what is this? Right? It's like the second cast. Like the first cast was like buzz bait. Like, hey, okay, this is cool. Second cast, threw it where I wanted, and it just got destroyed. And I'm like, oh, lures work. Okay, you don't have to just drag a worm. That's cool. So, that was neat. So, lit the fire again. So that just got me into doing more and more and more testing of lures, different types of lures.
Yeah.
So once I really got serious into baseball, that kind of dwindled a little bit, and I started, not having as much time. So when I got back into it, I started float tubing. And
how old were you then?
17,
okay,
18, right about there. Started float tubing again, maybe 19 probably. I'd say 19. Started float tubing and going to the bay, and using fish traps, and
Now I bet you got some great stories about the bay.
Dude,
man.
the bay
Fishing.
used to be so cool.
Yeah.
It used to be so cool. I remember the Turner's guys just saying, "Wait, why don't you start throwing crankbaits?" And I'm like, well, "Okay." Spinning reels and crankbaits, losing gear left and right, but catching fish on it, going, "Dude, this is insane!" Right?
Yeah.
Stuff I would never even imagine, like trying. Like there's no way.
And this is before any this got
Yeah, I'm not.
popular.
Yeah, I'm
This
not.
is
Yeah,
like-
nobody out there.
yeah.
Didn't see anybody.
Yeah.
Didn't. Wasn't anything special. You know what I mean? It was just something to do. In between ball. So, fast forward again, I'd lose track of doing more of that because ball takes another step. Now I'm, Long Beach State. Now I'm right across from the duck pond now. So I'm back at the duck pond, right? So I've kind of gone back and forth to these things. So I end up being done with my career and, go back to fishing full time. Like I've never had this much time in my life. Like I've been told what to do my whole life. Like this is what time we got to be at the field. We got practice 2 days, 3 days, spend the night, go, road trip. Like, oh my God. So, and that was cool because I fished Kansas and Texas and
Oh, did you bring a
Louisiana.
rod with you everywhere? Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. I learned how to manage that and work a taxi system, taxi cabs back in the day, no cell phones,
No Ubers,
no Ubers. Like, let's try to figure this out. So
Yeah.
Santa Barbara was really cool. That was a good road trip because there's a lot of backwater back there that you can just slide in and catch. But nonetheless, it was cool because I had caught one of those 10-pound fish at the duck pond and head off to Kansas playing Wichita State, and the hotel's right above one of those Bass Pro Shops. Like I'm like, oh my God, I've died and gotten to heaven playing what baseball game? Like I don't care, right? I'm gonna win. I'm gonna host a blackjack game. I'm gonna kill everybody tonight. I'm gonna take all that money. I'm gonna go buy some lures. So I go down there and I'm checking it out and I'm like, what is this? Like this is bootleg. This is not the Mark Shop kills it.
Yeah.
Right. There's poppers and like this is there's no glitter. There's no glamour. There's no. I start talking. They're like, "Yeah, what's the state record around here?" Like 6.7 pounds. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is what they talk about. The West Coast fishing is a different deal." Like, yeah. So, it fueled the fire even more. I took a fish, I caught a couple fish out there. When I got home after thinking about it, I'm like, I kind of like this stuff, So, nonetheless, I started float tubing again. You know what I mean? Fishing spotted bay bass, and I got tired of making the run to Fisherman's Hardware, downtown Long Beach. Had a CRX, big round float tube, shark donut, right? Not a U-boat, right? A shark donut, like literally sit in this thing. Now that you think about it, like what I was going out in the ocean in basically a death circle, right? Like what was I thinking? But I loved it. But I'd have to put it in my CRX and leave everything open and then go inside to Fisherman's Hardware. And every time I did that, I thought, I'm going to have whatever swim baits I just bought and no car and no float tube when I come back because it's all left open. So that I made the idea that I need to start making my own stuff. So
what year was this?
2005.
Okay.
So 2005, me and my dad started farting around with these pieces of clay. And
you didn't have like all the internet wasn't as savvy, like where you could just look up how to make swim baits or how to
enter what?
Yeah.
Nah, even if we had it, I couldn't turn it on. Right? It's not. That's
so.
Not,
this is DIY. You're just like, this is my idea. This is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, more of my pops. Like he made surfboards for 30 plus years. So his ability to make things swim in the water.
Very good.
That's what he does. So he puts together this clay and starts building this thing out. And he's like, "What do I think?" And I start, a little bit this, a little bit that. This way, he matched it up to the lead heads, and all we had were triangle shad lead heads, big hammer lead heads, sunrise tackle, whatever they are. You know what I mean? Give them a little plug. That's what I used to use. I mean, it's again what started what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So matched it all up to there and made this little 2.5-inch bait. Right. And he figured out how to mold it, and we molded this thing up, and I poured a couple of them. And I had been playing in a do-it molds, 4-cavity, like shad-style swim bait. It was not a good piece of material, but it was a good training tool.
Yeah.
My first gallon of plastic with it, I poured it, and I remember pouring it and trying to hurry up and cool it off, taking it outside and moving it back and looking, and they were foggy and nasty, and they suck. Right. And as an athlete, like suck, like like either you have two ways to go with suck. Either you suck and you're going to work hard to do it better, or you're out, like find a new game. Right. So I kept going at it, and I had the plastic worms and sweet beavers to play off of because I was still fishing the freshwater stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I was having a good time. Diamond Valley was open, and that was like new. Like, never used a Senko at El Dorado, right? You're using a little, purple worm. I mean, that opened up new avenues. So I'm making these things with other toys on the side, and I went through a gallon of plastic, and as I got to the end of that gallon, I laid out all the baits. I realized at the end of that gallon, like the ones at the end, they're way better than the ones at the beginning. So no lie, I took scissors and X-Acto knife and I cut them all up into different colors, remelted them again, and started over with what I had learned. So the first gallon, I actually got 2 rounds of baits out of it that were those do-it molds. And so I was fishing those. And when we made this thing, and I started cutting up all those baits again. I started melting them into these, and I put them on lead head and took them over in the island grissom in my float tube.
Yeah.
And, dude, I started catching fish. I'm like, dude, no way. Right?
What an accomplishment.
Yeah. I mean, but like more giddy to myself. Like, dude, I'm a nerd. Like I've got a Chuck Dent visor on, right? I got this surf visor on that I wear just because I'm a baseball guy and I'm wearing a visor. I like total like bootleg, right? Like you got the wrong, like you're representing nothing, right? Like the people that were actually fishing at that time were probably going, oh my God. Right. But I'm okay with that because I'm just having fun. That's just what it is for me, And it was the same spot, the shoal right there at Island Grissom. I'd go out there and, drag these baits along this little reef and catch sand bass, spotties, calicos, and every once in a while a halibut. And you're like, oh, that's pretty tight, right?
Yeah.
So it started working, and at this point I'm teaching now, right? So I'm past the playing. I'm into coaching and teaching, and I got this kid. His name's Aaron Graham, who's Captain No Good, right? And he's a kid in my class.
Yeah.
And he does some fishing, but he was into cars.
Yeah.
And let's just say school wasn't his most favorite thing. But he did what he did, he got through, and I had him at the end of the day. And I would have all my stuff ready at the end of the day because I wasn't coaching anymore. I'd have all my stuff in my classroom ready today, rod, reels, gear. Because as soon as that bell rang, Mr. Stembridge is out, right? Float tube filled, going to Grissom. I'm going to make the most out of this, right? I've never had this before. So I ended up talking to him and giving him some baits, and he spread the word of what it was. And again, we're a bunch of nobodies by word of mouth, and they turned into something. And then I didn't think anything of it, but they said, you should try to sell these. I'm like, I'm teaching all day, right?
Yeah.
You little turds are enough to deal with. I'm going to go home and work. Like, dude, you gotta be kidding me, right? But at this time, I got no kids. You know what I mean? Like, I would come home and I'd come home, jump in the car, get on the freeway, and head to Canyon Lake. Oh. Yeah, and go fish the afternoon mission at Canyon Lake just because I could, right? And you're like, dude, this is the life, right? I'm living luxury.
Yeah.
Like, best years. Like I had the wrong equipment, no style, no nothing, and I'm killing it, right? The more I know, the better stuff I got. The worse I get, right? I know too much now, right? Not a chance. I don't know enough, but nonetheless, it turned into. Let me take these over to Mark. He's the only guy I know, right? So I took these over to Mark, and Mark's like, I've seen a million baits, right? I could tell you they're good. You could tell me they're good. We could catch fish. You could catch fish. He goes, you need somebody to validate these things. I'm like, yeah, right? Like I'm looking around going, well, my dad, right? So Mark being who Mark is, he gives me a couple names, and one of those names was Eric Bent. And my pops knew Eric Bent.
Okay.
Through the surfboard industry, didn't know anything about it. So he gives him a call. Eric shows up. Cool cat, right? Smooth, right? Good dude. My age. I'm like, dude, this is kind of cool, dude. This is what the fishing guys are like. Because all I know is my dad, right? Like my dad and myself and my brother, who is a little bit younger than me. So I don't, I'm not doing it for fame or glory or a group of people. I don't know anybody. If I see somebody down there, hey, how you doing? right? But there's nobody down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the baits end up. I have some leftovers of whatever I had in my box, and I gave them to EB. And a couple days later, he calls me from one of those fibber tournaments. He goes, "Hey man, they're all fishing for second place." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, tank's full of 8 pounds."
Voice.
I'm like, 8 pounds? He's like, "Yeah, dude, 8 pounds, 3 fish. They're fishing for second place." I'm like, sweet, right? Candy bar phone, dude. Hang up, like barely can work it. "Hey, Dad, EB said they got 8 pounds, dude. They're gonna win the thing." He's like, "Really?" So he spreads the word to Mark. Mark says, "Yeah, dude, I'll take $1 million." You know, and I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm right. Like, I can't do anything like that." And he goes, "No, so just fill it up as you bring them." And his graciousness to that is exactly that. I could build them as fast as I could build them, or as slow as I could bring them in. He takes them, and the rest has been history. You know what I mean? And it's basically EB and Mark that put them on the shelf and got that to go. So. And then after that, the internet started working. And again, I wouldn't be on the internet. I was what they call lurkers, right? I would lurk on Bloody Decks just to read what people are doing and see how it kind of works, being a little bit more curious than certain, and kind of watching. And I recognized Justin Reynolds, who I knew was a Los Al kid over in that area, which is where I teach. And I knew... I was seeing C's, another guy who's a Long Beach guy, which is right around where I live. So I just gravitated to those two guys. And one day at Mark's shop, I walked in and saw Reynolds there, and EB was there, and he introduced us, and that kind of put that side of this thing into that directive. And then I went home and I grew the giant set of nuts that I never thought I had, and I just hit the thing and hit C's up. Right. And at that point, I mean, C's is mellow now. I mean, back in the day, like I was kind of like, "All right, dude, we'll see what kind of badass you really are, bro. Like, I'm going to call this dude up, and either he's going to clown you out of the building, or he's going to take to what you got to say." And man, he was over in a half hour with Brian. Come to find out, Brian lives around the block, and man, they came over, and again, they did their piece. So Mark and EB for getting them on the shelf, and Reynolds and C's and Brian for kind of putting them out there. And then EB brought over a couple older cats, different cats. That'd be Al and Rex and a guy named Eric Abrahamson. Mm-hmm. Have you ever met Eric Abrahamson?
I know who he is. I never met him.
Man, what an incredible dude. One of those guys behind the scenes. They don't want to be seen in the shadows. They've done miracles. Al and Rex, I think, won every tournament for like 3 years. Man, they were crazy. Not really, but kind of. You know what I mean? If they weren't winning it, they were second. They were pretty darn good with that. And then EA was he was a guy who put, when he put his effort into doing what he wanted to do, he would go to that island and fish those baits and put together cool stuff. So, it was cool because I didn't know this was in like I said, I'd been fishing out there in front by myself.
Then you're getting to meet all these cool dudes.
Getting to meet all these cool cats who have salt in this game to a level that I don't, you know what I mean? I remember getting on, shortly thereafter, getting on Al's boat, the Putty Tub. And I freaking went out and bought new polarized sunglasses because I knew, man, we're going to go fast. Right? I'm in a float tube. We're going to go fast. Right? And she's like I said, total kook and Barney. Like, it is what it is. So I put the shades on, and the sun's barely coming up, and we're sitting down in this bass boat, which, I'd been in a couple bass boats, but they've all been on Mission Viejo, where you can only use the trolling motor. So it's not a bass boat, right? It's a trolling motor boat. So now we start flying down the coast, and I'm fishing Calcutta 250s and a 400, and I've got like, right? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's straight mono. Like, I have no clue, right? But because these guys are putting me on the fish, the materials were good enough to catch the fish. And I'm like, dude, this is rad. Like, this is cool. So now I've got cool people. They have boats. They want to take you fishing. And I had a good run about like 2-3 years where it was, dude, we're going all the time.
Yeah.
And then in between that, I ended up getting my own rig, which I bought from EB. I bought his Pop's Mako.
Okay.
And we always fished on his whaler. And I was always looking to go out. Like, hey, how come we always fish along here? They're like, why don't you go out? Right? And then we did go out, but we went out in the Whaler, and I'm thinking, dude, we got this Mako over here, right? So he gave me the Mako, and I'm like, hey, dude, does this thing go to Clemente or Catalina? He's like, hey. And yeah,
I love
right?
how you do his voice, dude. It's so good.
It's SUV, right? So I love that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
So me and Brian were like, hey, did you want to go to Catalina? Because nobody's really going to Catalina. Not that we were inventing nothing, right? Because Jack Soul was probably like already living there. Like he'd already pulled a residence like for everything. So and Benny, right? So by no means. But what I'm saying is there's no internet to say, hey, we're doing this. Hey, we're doing that. Hey, look at this.
You didn't know who's doing what. You were just doing stuff.
Yeah. And as far
and
as
if you had that little circle, people kind of knew in that little circle.
Right. But as far as I knew, right, this is what we're doing because nobody's even doing it.
Yeah.
So me and Brian heard through the grapevine that a couple other boats were going to be going. So like, let's do it, then, right?
And
so
this is what size engine?
115.
Okay, so this is
it's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, now that we know, perfect.
Yeah.
We've gone to Clemente.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Like, not a problem. Like, but I at this point in my life, right, in the game and what I got, EB says it, gold, Bible, word, right? Got to work my way away from understanding that there's other views, there's other pieces. We could have done it. I mean, he wanted to do it in his Whaler, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Right? I get that now, but I didn't understand why. Does this work? And it's like, like I said, so we went for it, and we didn't see anybody else, right? And I got about halfway, and shut it down, looked at Brian, like, hey, dude, are you good? Because inside, I'm shitting my pants. It's dark. I can see Brian because he's like right here and he's giant, right? But, right, the only thing kind of keeping me in the boat is the life vest and this giant load of shit because I'm kind of tripping, like not what I'm used to doing, right? And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, fishing's supposed to get wet, right? Because it's lumpy as shit, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know. Is this what it's supposed to be like? I've never done it, right? So sun starts to come up, so we start to go a little faster, and then we get about 5 miles to the island, and it's dead flat. Woo! Like kids, yeah, we made it, right? And we beat the shit out of the fish.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing. Just showed up to the kelp, throwing what we're throwing. Yeah, cool, sweet. This is what. Yeah, cool. We had such a fun time, and again, don't know how much gas does the boat really got, dude?
Fuck.
Right? How much? What's the weather like really going home? Right? So we kicked the shit out of them, and we're kind of tripping. It's like 10 o'clock, right? And we look up and there's this boat coming on plane. It's beak and hot cotch. They made it, but they were one of the boats planning on going, but they didn't go. They said they turned around halfway, and I'm thinking, dude, we're gonna die. Right? What are we doing, dude? Yeah, we're here. We're killing it. But, dude, should we have not have gone? Because those guys are like, as far as understanding. Yeah. They were already above us when it came to that stuff. Like, I'm learning, right? Mm-hmm. And they turned around. I'm thinking, dude, if they turned around, we probably should have turned around. But they went to PV, said PV sucked, so they came back. And the conditions obviously laid down because they wouldn't have come back. So I'm putting it together. I'm learning. That was a big learning curve. Like, they helped me out huge. So they go off to the cove over right there, and they're like, hey, where's that? And they start killing it. So we're re-ramped up. Like, dude, they just got here. We're unbatting the hatches, dude. We're fishing again. So we started fishing again, and man, we got to the point where we got to take off, right? So we took off, and we kind of paid the price a little bit, and it was cool. But that was like the start of, all right. Reynolds had been doing it, but he was in a different, doing a little bit different group. So once he found out we did it, then I started. So between the three of us and a couple others, we were going every weekend.
Yeah, like 5 boats, 5 groups of guys, kind of.
And Reynolds is so gangster that it took like a month. He's like, all right, get ready for the moon. Right? So we're going to Clemente now, and I'm like, dude, I ain't even done being scared about this one yet, right? Like, the backside of the Catalina is like land of the lost. Like, I don't even know what we're looking at. You can't see home anymore. Like, it's a different deal. Right? And I'm used to float tubing. Like, you're already, the only fear is am I getting hit by something bigger than me? Right? Is today my time? Yeah. But now I'm like, hey, is the boat going to make it back, man? Like, is the weather going to kick up? So as I started to learn and get better at it, hey, we'll go to Clemente with you. And then one day we took my boat to Clemente, me, C's, and Brian. Dude. I was like, dude, what are we doing? But perfect day. Weather was grease. and didn't know much about it, so pulled up about 300 yards short of where you want to be because you're like, and I just threw the line out just to try to boom catch a fish. I'm like, dude, we're in paradise, right?
Yeah.
Like again, hey, how much gas the boat really got, dude? Like we don't know because first try we never ran out of gas, made it back, everything worked, so we got lucky. Then I had kids. And
no more chances like that.
No more chances.
The boss said, "This ain't happening, bro."
Between that and the time, like it disappeared. It disappeared, And I missed that, but not for what I got. I mean, So I was laughing because it's just now starting to get to that. Like me and my dad were gonna go to Catalina the other day. Like, hey, it's good enough. Like, let's just go. And we're like, yeah, we got to be back. Yeah, I got a basketball game to get to, so I got to get back.
No, I hear you. I do. That's why I'm always. I got to be home by 12 or 11:30. I'm a drumline dad, so I get it. That's all my kid does is drumline. So summertime drumline. It's like a sport.
Yeah,
I'm there till midnight. Sometimes it's like
you don't have to tell me. I have three nephews and a brother-in-law who are all those guys, and my nephews all went through that. And he actually is. He just got into one of these gigs where he's gone for the summer. He's playing with the big dogs.
Dude, no way. That's awesome.
These guys were all the leader, they're drum leader. They're into it, man, and they're legit. But I know what you mean.
He's
driving that cart around.
Dude, towing trailer.
Dude.
I'm like, oh my God.
You make baseball dad look easy, dude. I just show up and sit down, right? Like, hey, dude, right?
We do football in the middle one. The middle kid plays football, so we do that. But
nice.
No, I hear you having to come back at a certain time. So did I change your game plan where you're like, okay, I can't make it to Catalina, so maybe I'm going to hit PV hard or I'm going to hit?
Well, yeah, I don't get to fish with none of those guys anymore. You can only ask, hey, do you want to go so often before they have to go somewhere else? Because I couldn't go anymore. I just couldn't go. Yeah. My younger son was diagnosed diabetic at 2.
Oh wow!
So game over. Game over. Like there's no leaving them with a friend. Mm-hmm. There's no, hey, I'm going to spend the night and I'm going to go. That's
you got to keep
done.
Them like
game over.
Yeah.
Right. So that took all that out. Like I just can't. I can't play that game anymore. I just have to be. I have to be home. I have to be able to do these things. I have to give him the opportunity to go do these things. But when it goes awry, I need to be able to be there in 15
How old's
minutes.
your son now?
16.
16.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's crazy, dude.
He's doing good now?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
He's at a baseball game today, so we're. I took the day off coaching so I could do this, and he's playing. So I keep getting the update in the pocket. They're winning, so
good.
All's good
man.
there. But the oldest one is he'll be 18. He plays basketball.
There you go.
So I got when this is done, I'll be heading to Mater Dei to go do a basketball game. So
oh wow.
We did 2 last night, so it's not going to end, and I don't want it to end. You know what I mean? I'd rewind back time to get them back young again, but
I hear you.
But the fact that they are where they are, I can start doing these things. So
have you took a break for a minute?
I didn't necessarily take a break, but
like,
I just didn't get to fish as often. And I became like a wall pirate. Like I'm pretty much fishing the wall. I'm a shore pounder freak. Like
that's cool though.
Studebaker and Loins is my home.
So you have a boat the same boat right now?
Yeah, I still got it. Yeah, I took it out yesterday.
Okay.
We went out to PV yesterday. Me and my dad caught a few. It was cool. I'm a wall pirate. So nighttime is my time as a teacher. I
love the wall.
Right, I love it. and I'm a vampire. I love being out there at night. That's my time. So school just got out, so we're actually out of school. So I'll be attending my normal summer school festivities, which is the wall at night and 4:00 trips to El Dorado. That's what I get to do with no
Let's
school.
do a lot of El Dorado then too.
Oh yeah. It's usually get up in the morning, 4 a.m, go get a coffee and walk the 2 lakes in a figure 8, and then with topwater bait, and then home, and then there's take the youngest one to the beach. He gets I put him through a fitness workout.
Oh, cool.
And then whatever game or what have you. And then after that, in the garage pouring baits. So,
man, how long does it take you to get ready for Fred Hall? That's a lot of baits, dude.
I'd be ashamed to say it because
that's a lot of baits, bro.
Yeah,
and that's a buddy, my buddy Daniel. He does redemption swim baits. He's like, I want to know how long it takes him to get ready for Fred Hall.
Yeah,
man.
That's why I don't want to bum anybody out, but like 8 weeks,
dude. How many? So in one mold, how many in like an actual mold pours do you have?
Between 8 and 12.
Okay. Great.
Between 8 and 12.
Wow,
and it depends. I could have a couple
dude.
different bricks.
Yeah,
no, it is. But it's taking time to build those up. And again, my dad does such quality work that those things don't die. I'm still using the same molds that I started with.
That's amazing.
I'm pouring the same baits now that I poured, from 2005.
Yeah.
Going on 15 years here, so out of the same molds.
Dude, that's amazing.
Right? And I used to tell guys like, hey, dude, listen, dude, to make a mold, this is $100. $100 to make a mold. And it still is. It's $100, it'd be probably $125 to make a mold, but
because you're not using RTV then.
Yeah, no,
you
I am, dude. It's just the way he's so meticulous about what he does. He's a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. So everything that comes out is done. And again, through the trial and error of the protos, we learned some trades and techniques in the business to preserve these molds. So yeah, our baits haven't changed. And again, I had a hell of a curveball. There was no need to change that curveball. Yeah. Why change that curveball? You're not hitting it. I already throw it good. There's no need to change it. So I haven't ever changed bait.
No. Have you changed your plastic?
Not a bit.
Never.
Okay. I've changed nothing. Part of the reason why I'm still in my garage. Right? I've changed nothing. No, I can't. I can only be as big as I am. I can't. I mean, either I got to quit teaching, or I got to quit coaching, or quit being a dad, or quit being a husband, or quit doing the things that I do. To do that full time, to make that happen, or I can't. And that's why it is what it is, because it's at max capacity. Like, I can do what I do, and then I can do the Fred Hall show. Yeah. And I figured out last couple of years how to get some stuff to the San Diego Fred Hall for all those. Yeah.
Oh, cool, man.
Mark's been going down there, so there's a lot of guys that have helped us out over the course of the time from San Diego, Afrin being one of them. Mm-hmm. But those customers out there are cool cats, and they drive to Performance sometimes. And they come down to Long Beach Fred Hall. So the ones that can't, it's pretty cool to return that to them, because again, is why I do it, is to get baits to guys that want to catch fish that, they hold up. They don't have to, those Groms. Dude, Groms don't have a lot of money. Parents have a lot of money, but Groms don't have a lot of money. And when they have stuff, they can't afford to, because that's how I was. I was a Grom. I was a Grom that was an athlete that wasn't even allowed to have a job when I was in college, because you're on scholarship. So you only have what you have, and you got to make it last, and you have to be efficient. And it's almost, that's what they call a junk fisherman. You're holding on to what little you have, what fits in this bag. They could be on something else, but you forced them to eat this. It's what I grew up doing, because that's, that's what I had to do. And I wasn't part of an industry. I was just part of a game. I was part of having fun. And when I started making these, I started realizing, oh, dude, this is next level. You need a rod for that? Oh, shoot. There's different kinds of line?
That's a whole nother thing, right?
Oh, man, right? Like, I need more than one reel? Like, dude, these reels are expensive, right? So, yeah, it turned into something that I didn't anticipate turning into, but I don't feel like I've gotten myself out of my norm to do that. And I don't want to. Yeah. I can't. It's been what it is. It's grassroots. I'm thankful for every dude that I have. If I could do more for every one of them, I would. But man, I make enough to put into Mark's shop. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the hard part about it is, you think about it, and like I make enough. I used to have to go in and buy baits from Mark to go fishing.
Because you wouldn't have any. You'd be selling them all.
I didn't have time. Why hold on to them? I don't have time to go fishing. I don't have time to go fishing. Yeah. Right? Like I
might as well just go buy a couple.
Might as well just go buy a couple.
And so, since you're kind of grew up the way you did with not having the money to really buy the bait, did you have it in consideration to go, I want to make something that's going to last and not just last, a couple trips. So you kind of made a plastic to make sure it swam good enough, but it was hard enough to wear.
And that was the whole premise, is they can't break down. I can't have them break down. I can't have them bite the tails off. And I'm not dissing anybody. Everybody's stuff is it, but I just couldn't. It would happen too often. Like it just, they were.
And that's something that you have in your head.
But I think it was the misconception. I think, there was, the world of swim baits was small. It was
at the time.
Hammer.
Yeah. Big hammer, right?
Fish trap, fish tricks, and MC. And Worm King kind of was around, AA. But all of those in the same place, yeah, right. Like, you're not going to find it. Like, the most available were fish traps for me. So that's what I mainly fished. Mm-hmm. If I could get a hold of a fish trap, or a bass tricks, right? Bass tricks is what I was saying. If I could get a hold of a couple bass tricks, I was stoked, because they had some pretty good plastic, different colors, and there wasn't a lot of them around. They kind of swam a little different. Corey's baits were awesome, but you didn't get a whole lot of them because I was down here.
Yeah.
You know, there were certain times they were here, and you get them when you get them, and I'd use those. But the bait of choice was the fish trap because it was the most available, but they were soft. And it was, I think, the misconception that your plastic bait needs to be soft and it needs to wiggle. Well, yeah, I didn't think anybody was throwing hard baits back in the day, and there was very few. Benny was making a killing off the iron, so everybody thought it had to be soft. I kept thinking to myself, why does it got to be soft? Like, I don't understand soft. Like, those soft baits, to me, they don't swim. They track. You put a 1 ounce lead head in it, it's going to swim in a straight line like a 1 ounce lead head in it. You put a 2 ounce lead head in it, it's going to swim in a 2 ounce. They're tracking, right? My bait didn't track. It snaked, it wobbled, the tail thumped, your rod tip would go, and you're going, whoa, dude, what is this?
Yeah.
And it was just different, right? Again, nothing. I caught fish before I made mine. I caught fish on everybody else's stuff because they made good stuff. I was buying, right? I was spending my money on that, what little I had.
Yeah.
So there's no disrespect to anybody. It was just, I needed something different because.
And that's what you wanted to put out. That was your idea, was to put out something that
was
is going to last for someone. Yeah.
Right. And the people in the business were like, dude, what are you doing, dude? They're going to last. And people aren't going to buy that many. I'm like, yeah, so.
That's not my point, right?
I'm not trying to do that. But they're like, well, how am I going to sell them? I'm like, hey, listen. I'd rather the guy buy 2 of each color in 3 different sizes and walk away with 10 baits and know that he can, because you could take my bait off a hook and put it back on another one and it's still going to be good.
Yeah.
Right? I couldn't do that with the other ones. Like, I guess that's done. Right? So you're left fishing it like, dude, I only got so many lead heads. So like, I'm going to fish this. So I'm going to kill myself fishing this color, which I end up learning that, dude, color, I make all these colors, and Cobb Zeff wants this color, and he catches 50 pounds, and C's wants this color, and he catches 50 pounds, and Brian wants that color, and he catches 50 pounds. They're all different, and they're all different. They're the color of the rainbow. So, which one works? Looks like all of them. Right? Well, I want my Reynolds. I want mine to be red and orange, and okay, that's cool. And you start.
It's just their confidence colors. It's their confidence, whatever gives them confidence.
And I've watched all of them fish, and I got confidence in all of their beliefs. So whatever's left over, I fish. I don't care what color it is. I don't care. Yeah. And so I never became a color guy. Now, I'm a color guy when it comes to making them because I want to make different colors. I want to make things that aren't out there. I don't want to replicate anybody else's color. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've taken color pieces and I've taken them apart and poured them in different orders. But, I didn't want to copy anybody's colors. And you'd have people like, hey, dude, pour me a Halloween. I'm like, yeah, I can't do it, bro. Yeah. Sorry. They're like, no, seriously, pour me a Halloween. I'm like, I'll pour you some in those colors, but I'm not pouring a Halloween, dude. That's not my color. It's not my jam. And I'm not going to do that to somebody. You know what I mean? And I wasn't the same way as a player. I'm not going out there and going to hit like Rod Carew. I'm not Rod Carew. I'm me. Yeah. Right? I said that earlier. Like, hey, dude, I got to be me. Everybody else is taken.
That's the truth.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was never in my nature to do that. So it was like, I'm just going to do what I do. Right? So I did. And I just kept fishing them and rolling with that premise that they're going to have to last. I don't want to waste them. And when it turned out, all of a sudden people were like, dude, these are pretty cool. Yeah. I remember C saying right off the bat, like, hey, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't really like your swim baits at first. Like, why? He goes, I couldn't get the hook in them. Right? Yeah. But if you think about it, you look at a lot of people thread their swim bait on. Mm-hmm. Dude, there's a lot of people that can't get a hook in anything. And I feel bad because I'm like, oh, right? It's like, you know, I always envision like I wouldn't, like, I love Matt Koch's art. I'm afraid I'd put the wrong frame on it. Yeah. And mess up his art. Like, I don't even want to diss your art, bro. Your stuff's so cool. You know what I mean? So when I look at it, it's the same thing. Like, I see a head go on a lead head. I'm like, oh, you gaffed that thing. It's bleeding. It's not even alive. It's bleeding. It's crying. It doesn't even match. And it's all wrinkled up. And you're like, ah.
That's a big, so you feel that putting the lead head on matters a lot.
Yeah, that makes that bait swim right.
Really?
Yeah, well, the bait's built with pivot points. So
did you build your bait for a certain lead head or not?
Yeah, well, I came during the time when there wasn't anything. So honestly, we made everything ourselves. All my lead heads.
You were making your lead heads yourself then?
Because they had exercise hooks in them. Because my baits were all bigger. That was the one thing I wanted. Bigger baits.
Because at the time, everything was 5.
It's thin though.
Thin. Oh, like thin. The tail.
There was no profiles. Yeah. There was no anything to dry. It was like a little. It was just a little. Right? It looked like a plastic worm. I'm like, dude, where's the kick? Where's the So when my dad built that into the ones that we had, it was like, dude, okay, we got some kick going here, and I like that. But the problem with building it bigger was there was no lead heads that fit. So you'd put this sweet, odd size swim bait, and you put the lead head in it, and you're like, dude,
Doesn't look right.
that's terrible. I just put Ronald McDonald's shoes on. Like, it's not going to go good. It's not going to go good. And you would get bit, but they'd miss the hook, and you're like, yeah, this is terrible. So Dad being the guy that Dad is, right? He's like, all right, we got a problem. I can fix this up, right? Which he didn't actually fix up. Actually, James Shamblin and Mike Lane fixed it.
Really?
Yeah, they had the mold to the Arky head, which is the first of the weedless heads that were fished, and they were putting 5 and 6 odd hooks in them, which were the ones to fit my baits. Like it needed it. So when they introduced me to that, and then hey, can we borrow? Me and Brian got a ton of lead, and we borrowed the thing, and I still have them.
Oh, really?
I still have 100 of them. Brian still probably has 200 of them. Like we still have them. So it was
Just spent the days and days just pouring lead, huh?
And my dad's a perfectionist, so is Brian. That's why we all get along so well. They have the same mentality. So he pearled these things out to a level that was like they're still good, right? And I say pearled out. That's a baseball term for a brand new baseball. That's why my company's named Pearl.
Is it? Yeah, oh, that's cool,
That's
man.
what it is. Only a couple people know because nobody really cares to ask.
Everyone
but
knows.
Now everybody knows. Right? I think John Curry is the only one that really knows because he asked. He goes, "Hey man, is a Pearl a brand new baseball?" He goes, "I thought so," but he's a baseball guy.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
He's one of those guys. So. Yeah, he pearled out those lead heads, and man, they're awesome. So we still have the same.
And you
lead
just
heads
had them for yourself, though.
Well, that's
Did you sell
to be
them?
honest? No, dude. But that's where this whole thing dives into the craziness that we have here because we were doing Catalina, and this is where I date things. It's pre-war and post-war, right? Like. We were doing a lot of this stuff. Afrin was in San Diego. The internet wasn't big enough. There wasn't enough, interweb connection for anything to go. And Reynolds hadn't really touched base on that land yet. And he was the one that ventured. He was the guy that had the most, savvy and balls to do all this stuff. That's who he is. So, I actually was making these lead heads and they were supposed to be secret, right? But dude, I was the only one that had them, and you're fishing with Reynolds, and Reynolds is like, dude, I need some fucking lead heads, right? And then Matt Florentino and Randy Spicer, and all of a sudden, and they're going, dude, we're going to the island. I need some of those lead heads. You got any left? And I'm looking around like, yeah, I want to go to the island too, right? So, we just had that setup going, and then along came Afrin, and he had a way fancier because it wasn't fancy. None of this is fancy. We're not, we're just making it suitable.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got a way fancier gig. He's a cool cat. He's got some killer promo situation. He's good at advertising and that now you got the post-war where that guy has killed it, man. He has made some killer product. He's made some cool stuff. He's made it so it's totally suitable for everything that we like to do.
Yeah.
And what better way, right? Like that you have it. So once that started to happen, everything got built around that lead head.
A lot of
unbeknownst to him, it's just like,
baits.
hey, dude, this is what's hot.
Yeah.
Because there isn't too many other lead heads out there, and ours don't fit them anyway. So here we go, right? So we started shaping a lot of the stuff to fit that kind of situation, his type of lead head, and knowing how this industry works, there's going to be others like his. So that's what you're kind of getting. And there was others before his, but the media isn't there. So again, nobody's reinventing a wheel here. I don't want to set a timeline that says, oh, that's not how it went. That's not what I'm saying, dude. Not at all. I'm saying in our little bubble, right? We were doing this. We poured these lead heads, had exercise hooks. Thanks for Mike and James because I was James also helped configure a weedless bait hook. I had a weedless bait in 2005, 2006, one of the first ones. Dude, no hooks. No hooks to fish it. You couldn't have any way to rig it. Like it was bootleg, but we used to take these giant musky hooks and tweak and bend and torque and try to get this thing so bad that the eye hole would get messed up and you'd have to snell it because you couldn't go through the eye hole anymore. Like I got a ton of just proto-style hooks that were just tried to get this bait into being able to swim because the whole thing was how do we get this thing to swim through the kelp without a lead head? Or how do we make a lead head that's composite that doesn't weigh anything, that holds the hook, right? All things that have been done here because people are way friggin' smarter than us, right? Or have better tools than we have, right?
Yeah.
So our concepts were there, but we didn't have, and all of a sudden that Tenno hook showed up from owner, like, dude, this is sick, dude, watch this.
Really?
Like, dude, this is killer.
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden now we're full swing in the islands. We have the tool, right? Nobody's got this thing, right? There was a 316 bait that was built that had the same kind of thing, but it didn't hold up to the saltwater thing. It did the job, but it didn't hold up. We had this thing, it was cool. And then that kind of set the whole thing. Like all of a sudden, dude, you can do things.
So this is kind of cool because this is like the beginning of Southern California weedless swim bait.
Yeah, Corey was killing it with the slug for years before that.
But with the swim bait.
Yeah.
With the head.
We put a tail and got lucky with a hook that somebody actually caught. And I think that
What was
happened.
he throwing with the slug then? What kind of head was on
Dude,
that?
he actually created his own screw lock system. He's super smart too, man.
I've looked on that on the internet and you screw it in and you kind of like,
he started the screw lock thing before the screw lock thing was even part of it.
Yeah,
he just had to do it himself because that was the tools he had.
Yeah.
I mean, he's super smart too. He's one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing too. I go to the Fred Hall show and get baits, and that's the only guy he'd talk to. He'd be, so I'd look at his stuff and it's cool. I'm like, dude, I can do this stuff, dude. Right? I'm not knocking his. I'm just saying I can do this.
Yeah, of course.
So it helped field the piece. I do this. Yeah, I'm a little kid. I can do this stuff. Same with the Mondo baits and some of that other stuff. I was like, at that time, I was like, yeah, I can do this. I know I can. So, yeah, he was using that screw in there and making it work, and he killed it, dude. A lot of people, dude, the slug killed it for a lot of people, and the ones that really knew how to fish it made a killing out of it. And there was a ton of people that didn't understand how to fish it, or didn't have the right rod or the concept. And so by adding the tail, and now you don't have to do it that way, it kind of made it kind of helped. So again, it was one of those things because there was a lot of people. I made a version of a slug, but it was a lot bigger.
Do you still make a slug or no?
I have it, but I haven't. Really? I haven't made. Once I put the tail on that thing, there was no need to. Like, what am I doing? And Mike Lane was one of those people like that took the thing. He goes, "You should put a tail on this thing." And that's when Mendit was there. So they took Mendit from a swim bait and put Mendit on the thing and the tip of that thing. He goes, "Hey, you should do that." That's what Brian and those guys. So there was dinosaur Frankenstein versions of this thing, dude, a long time ago, which again probably somebody was doing in their garage well before but in our little bubble, right?
Yeah,
that was
you were the first publicized kind of
I don't even know about that because the internet I wouldn't even be on it.
But you were probably involved on it because people
maybe
other people were using your stuff and
it was and again I wasn't even selling them,
so you're just making them for buddies.
I was making them for buddies, and then they became I was making them out of a 1-cavity mold, 2-cavity mold.
Oh my god!
The guy's like, "Hey, dude, I want 30, dude." I'm like,
"Fuck you!"
Right? 30, like, dude, I'm gonna be. At that point, I'm like, dude, I might be 35. Like when you're done getting that order, like it's not gonna happen, And then it got to the point, like Mike Lane was one of those. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I want like 25 of this color and 25 of that color." And I'm like, "Dude, you'd be lucky to get 25 in any fucking color." Right? Not because dude, I want to get. I just don't have the ability to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, necessity. That's part of the reason why I'm where I'm at. I mean, I had Mikey fishing with me, and Scotty, and Tobzeff, and C's, and Brian, and Reynolds, and these guys. Because at that time, I was one of a few baits that you could get around here. I mean, San Diego's down there, and it was just one of those things. Like I came in at a good time for those guys, and I was able to do. If I could do more for all of them, I would. But it was what it was, and now everybody's fishing what they can get their hands on because they're dudes. I mean, they're going through product like gym shorts, bro.
It's overflowing with different companies.
Absolutely,
so many companies.
Yeah. And again, that's why it's turned what it is. They've done that's what their world has turned in. They've gotten so much help from so many people because of their hard work, and the social media aspect of it allows the image to be out there for people to see. So it's worth it. It makes sense. So, but again, I just don't play on it. I don't have my own account doesn't roll. I don't have anybody to run mine. I don't. The resources, right? There's just
I couldn't imagine.
Right, I got too many other things that I have to protect before that. So I try to do the best I can. I feel bad when I don't get baits out there. I try to meet the needs of each end of group. You got the calico guys, you got the spotty guys. Back in the day, you used to have the sand bass guys. The sand bass guys don't exist anymore. The stupid sand bass don't come back like they used to. But they don't. They used to. You have a big supply of sand bass guys coming in and out of the flats when those things used to catch.
Man, it used to be that. We talked earlier about it too, and I'm like, man, I really missed out on that, huh?
Yeah, dude, 1,400 on a boat for the day. And you're like, that's just the morning trip. They're going back out in the afternoon to do it.
So fun, man.
Oh yeah, it was cool. But again, it didn't matter what kind of plastic, didn't matter what kind of color, didn't matter what you had. Just get it. And that's where Mark was like, hey, dude, I don't care if they're even cut, man. Just get them down here, man. The fish are biting. I just need to sell them, So it was, that was the fortunateness. I had to bring in whatever color, no questions asked, whatever size, no questions asked. They were validated by the guys that were fishing it, but again, you can only grow if you have the ability to grow. And I shut that down. And that
was there a time where you're kind of like, okay, I could do something with this, and maybe I should, or maybe I shouldn't?
No, because the insurance that I have for a diabetic at 2 years old was pretty top notch. So how are you going to do that for a swim bait? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
true.
So
yeah.
The hardest thing to do in any of this game is change a fisherman's mind. Go ahead and try. Tell them that red is not the color, or tell them that it shouldn't be this one, it should be that one, or this size, not that. You can't do that. You know what I mean? It's not. That's not how you're going to play this game. So I think I've survived as long as I have because the product doesn't break down. The colors stay somewhat fresh. They're not anybody else's gig, and I don't get in trouble on the internet. I stay out of the. I stay out of harm's way.
That's really good.
You know what I mean?
That's a good thing. Good, bad. Everyone's a double-edged sword. It is. And
it could do, and it has done. I mean, it's done some favors. I mean, for me for sure. Like I owe a lot of people a lot of thanks when my garage got broken into and they stole my stuff. It wasn't for the internet. There wouldn't have been the outreach of people who
did they steal your molds and stuff?
No, that's the crazy thing. These crackheads, man. And they just took what it was. They took the rods that had reels on them. Mm-hmm. They were dragged out all the way down down the alley. The ones that didn't have rod, they were like going through them. So I ended up getting most of my stuff back, but they left a lot of. I mean, dude, the fish finders, the GPSs, all that stuff was sitting out there. All the molds, I mean, all that stuff. But if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have had the outpouring of support from those that did. And a lot of nice people out there really helped me out to get back on my feet with that. Because again, I hear you. It took me so long. I still have the oldest of reels because I try to take care of them. I don't have. I'm like, dude. You got band camp, right? Dude, I got football camp. I got baseball camp.
I don't get anything. I pay for. I go to Performance and buy my rods, dude.
Yeah,
I buy everything. I go there and buy. Like I'm like you. So it's like I find a deal. Like Mike Lane's like, hey, selling these reels.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I'll take them, bro.
Right. Shit, I buy Caesar's old rods.
You see, I'm in the same boat.
Right.
So it's like, I buy.
My best sponsor is Brian. Brian's my best sponsor. Every year he kicks me down with a rod that he gets extra. He's like, hey,
that's nice.
Yeah. No, that guy used to do Loyal is BR.
I heard he's a really nice guy. Yeah.
BRYAN, that's Loyal, man. That dude is right there, is as loyal as they get, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't venture off that line of loyalty at all, man. He is such a good dude, and I owe him a ton because he do the same thing, same premise. Like I try to live like, hey, dude, would Brian do this? If Brian ain't doing this. Right? Like it's just he's that kind of guy to live by. Like did you just double check yourself through that? Like, right? He didn't get in trouble on the internet. He don't play on the internet, and it's just one of those things. Like I can't afford to do it, and I see others that can survive by not doing it. So why not do it that way? You know what I mean?
No.
And you miss out. You want to stand up for some things, and you want to be able to, but it's not.
But
it's
probably a good idea to not.
It's not.
You know what I'm saying? Like you might not. If you wouldn't have said anything, it probably would have been better. People.
Yeah, I don't want to mess up anything I already got.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's not like I'm bending over backwards to do a whole lot as it is. Like I'm just trying to do the right thing. So I don't want to have to do some crazy back dive to try to come back off of something because I wasn't doing some crazy front dive to get off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't mean anybody disrespect. I like every single person out there. They're all good people. They all fish well. They all got cool stuff. I think I've helped. I mean, when I started, like Fish Trap was out and I came in, and then like when I did figure out the internet, all of a sudden there was this inbox thing that I kept getting instant messages from all these people, and I don't know who they are, but they kept asking me questions, and like, hey dude, this is how I do it. Dude, I got no secrets. None. Right? I think I told Poncho everything I know. I really do. I think I did. I told him everything I knew.
Poncho's a great guy,
dude.
Man.
He's a great dude.
I had Poncho, and we got to redo the podcast. But it was Poncho, Brian Sander, and then Bobby, all talking swim baits.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, those guys are good dudes. They're all like, dude. Brian makes good bait, dude. Everybody makes good bait. Everybody gets good bait. I have zero qualms. I've fished everybody's bait. I think I have one of everybody's bait.
That's cool to hear. Yeah.
I like to have it. It's cool. I mean,
something different.
Yeah, I want to have it. I've fished them all just to see what it is, and I just want to make sure that mine stays mine. I don't want to do anything different, and
which is a great motto to live by too. I think I think that's what I like is what you're doing. You kind of stick to your guns, kind of guy.
And like
Yeah,
a double-edged
cool.
sword.
It is, right?
Double-edged sword, right? There's guys out there, I'm not fishing that. And I'm like, hey, dude, it's cool, dude. I understand. But it isn't even about that, dude. Can we fish next to each other and be good? That's all that matters.
Yes.
That's all that matters, dude. Hey, what are you doing to catch him? Doing this. Cool. I'm going to see if I can do that.
Yeah.
Right? I do not care what anybody
I'm
uses.
a regular dude, right? You're like a regular dude, just like everyone else.
I put my pants on just like everybody else, dude. Right? And that's been my way, and that's what gets me in trouble with authority, because dude, that guy running our country, I put my pants on the same way as that guy did. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's just me, dude. We're all the same. Like, if we just get over ourselves, dude, and just like,
what a great message, though, man. It's a positive message.
Yeah, that's what makes Decker so cool. Dude, yeah. Right? Like, the most negative thing I've ever heard him say was, hey, I hope I get 5 5-pounders and everybody else flounders. If that's as negative as you're gonna get, man,
dude, right.
You're good, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a breath of fresh air for this kind of gig.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's levied all the animosity in this thing. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's much more mellow now.
Yeah, I've heard.
Way more mellow now.
Yeah. Hopefully, it seems to be getting better and better as it goes. So
yeah, it should.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what anybody else has left to show.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's measured out now, right?
I hope so.
Right? The Cullum boards are all out, dude. It's all good, dude. Like, it doesn't even matter, you know?
Nope.
I think that shows in a lot of the teams. A lot of the teams have switched up, and it hasn't become so. It got less cutthroat. It got less serious. Yeah. Still serious that I want to win and I want to do well, but it seems like it seems like everybody got educated in many fashions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You fished in a couple tournaments, right?
Yeah, I try to do the Long Beach ones. I'm not built for tournaments.
Did you fish the SWBA Long Beach ones or the SBS? Or no?
Yeah, I fished in both. SBS? Yeah. I fished in both. I'm just not. The tournament isn't really made for me in regards to. I compete too hard. It wears on you, and you're like, dude, I'm dealt this bullshit hand, which is no different than when we're playing. Today's the championship game, and I got the 6'5" lefty throwing 93. Yeah. Shit hand, and we're gonna get after it, right? Mm-hmm. But the name of the game is 5, right? and based on the type of conditions, it's a 6'3" lefty for me, but it's a 5'5" poo baller for the guy over there, dude, who's been fishing all week and does, you know what I mean? So it's just a different concept, and I respect the hell out of those guys that go out there and do that on a regular, and compete and make adjustments on the fly with a timeline on them. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the utmost respect for that. I like doing the wall tournaments. I like doing the wall because it limits your decisions. It limits the game. It puts everybody on the same line. And that's a little bit more of my home as well. So with that, that's how I am. Again, there's been so many different formats. I didn't used to have a boat that was conducive to leaving the said venue. Mm-hmm. And there was, as we've spoken before, there were people that could go to any venue they wanted, no matter where you were at. Yeah. And that just, I mean, the killer was always Dana Point. Like, it's calicos only, and they're not biting. They're not home. There's not a calico in Dana. They all left for the winter, and it's calicos only, right? Yeah. And you're like, okay, so we can't stay in the venue because they don't live here now. So what are you going to do? And I remember pulling up into those boilers and having 30 pounds in sand bass going, boy, I really wish this was all of them matter, because, dude, we're killing the sand bass, but dude, we can't find a calico, right? Dude. So meanwhile, everybody else took the run, and they come back, and we got 28 pounds. Like, yeah, sweet. Yeah. Right? So it wasn't cut out for it, but do I like it? Yes. And I supported it without fishing it because it was, a way to get in on the deal. Yeah. So that was kind of cool to watch all those guys do their thing and watch how everybody did it, and see Kobzev kill everybody with no matter what partner he had. It was kind of cool. Dude, that guy's fish magnet, dude. That guy's we used to make jokes like, oh, I had 0 fish in the boat. There was 2 minutes before, and I threw the jig out, and 5 8-pounders jumped in the boat, and we won. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's how it works every week for you, bro. Like, right? Alan Rex, the same thing. Like, dude, we had 2 spotties, and we pulled up just to the last long dock, and we made 3 casts, and we caught 3 3-pounders, and we won. And you're like, dude. right? Like, yeah, I casted on that dock all day, didn't get nothing, right? But that's how these guys were. So you're learning like, oh, dude, there's a whole nother level to it. And that's when I realized I wasn't really cut out for this thing. The best tournaments I had were when the weather's crap, the conditions suck, and it's in Long Beach and it requires junk fishing because that's what I do. So my best finishes are always when everybody comes up and goes, dude, I should have just stayed home. I'm like, hell no, it was great, dude. It was great. I loved it today.
Yeah.
So I compete when the opportunities are bad. But when the bite's good, dude, I suck because I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. So it's not my game, but I go fishing for fun the next day or the day before, and I killed it. That's what Matt and when I started to figure out how to work this internet, Kobzeff would rag me. He goes, dude, based on the internet and pre-fishing, dude, you're the one to beat. And I'm like, yeah, but when tournament comes around, I'm going to be right back at the bottom. We kick the crap out of them on pre-fishing days. We go all over town and back. We went everywhere. We explored everything, limitless environment. We threw whatever, however, for as long ever we wanted, and we had a lot of success. And then, like I said, you build a plan and you go to tournament day, and right. I think our best tournament day, I was actually fishing with Brian, and we were right on our bite, right on cue. I got a good one, putting it in the live well. It's time to go. We're in our spot. Everybody else is around us, so they're not getting on it. And Brian hooks a fish, and we net it, and it turns out to be a spot fin, big one, with a hard bait in it.
No way.
So Brian goes to take it out, and schwack, hard bait right through the hand.
Oh, fuck. Ouch.
And we're looking at each other going, all right, well, we got to get out of here. He's like, nah, we got to get out of here, right? I go, maybe Randy and Matt Florentino can do the trick, dude, and pull this thing out, dude, because I don't know it. So we pull out kind of to them, and they kind of pull over to us. Like, hey, dude, you guys know the Spectre trick, dude, to pull this hook out? They're like, nah, we don't know it. And they right into our spot and whacked those fish. Finished in third place, dude. And we motored our way back to Marina Del Rey, just tail between our legs, just going, dude, terrible. But hey, we were on the right fish, dude, because Matt and Randy, they told us they got them. So it was pretty cool. But hey, at least it was buddies that got them. You know what I mean? It was pretty cool. So, and again, it was validation that we were in the right spot, doing the right thing. Because anytime you're in that area, PBs and those types of areas, and there's a Florentino in there, you're doing it right.
There's a Florentino.
If there's a Florentino in there, you're doing it right. Because those guys, that's their house, man.
Yeah.
They really got an idea how to make that place go. And I think they have ability to make it bite even when it's not biting, which I'd love to get, but not there yet. We did okay yesterday, but not there yet.
I went out with Benny and we did really good.
Yeah, he's a master.
He is great. Yeah,
me and Brian. The last time I went fishing for the day, I went out with Brian and we went around the corner and we saw Benny and we both looked at each other. Bam! High five! Like, we're in the right spot, dude. Benny's here, bro. Like, we're right where we want to be, man. And sure enough, dude, they bit crazy. It was a great day.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's
fun,
one of those
dude.
things for sure.
Well, yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on. If the people want to order, they could still. Do you do online orders?
My orders don't go through online. Everything goes through Performance.
Okay.
That's how it has to work. You call Mark, you tell him what you want. I'll make anything you want for you.
Okay.
Except if it's a replica of somebody else's, I can't do that. I'll spin it for you. Mm-hmm. I'll put a different highlight in it, or I'll do something crazy like that. But I can't copy somebody else's deal.
Yeah.
And I just, so far in my life, I've never had a batch of baits returned. And I've never had anybody not respect that thing. So again, that's kudos to the people I deal with, and it's probably because I just deal with a small group of people at Performance. The local homeboys and the people that support me have been so awesome. In the world of social media, I never thought there'd be 4,000 people that would ever want to care what I'm doing. Yeah. I don't care what I'm doing sometimes, right? But to think that they check that thing out and they make it go. And I know it's part of the game and they're doing their thing, but yeah, it's neat to know that there's those kind of people. So you want to make sure you get those people. So for all those that are wondering, the 2-inch baits, there'll be 30 bags of those coming at the end of the week probably. Nice. Sometime in the next 7 days, there'll be 30. I just dropped off 30 bags of 4s, and 2 weeks before that, I dropped off 25 bags of 5s. So if you haven't been into Performance, we have up the baits in there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, bro. I really appreciate it. Taking the time out, dude. Great stories, man. Amazing stories. So people are going to love this one.
I hope so. Like I said, I'm nothing compared to some of the people you've had. They got some killer stories, but for the small that we've done and the little that we have, I'm very thankful to the Caesars and the Bryans and the Reynolds and the Randys and the guys that have taken me on some killer adventures.
Definitely.
To the people that have helped me, there's been some awesome guys. The guys at Daiwa that keep my gear going, they've really been helping me out. The cool stuff I got from Salty Crew. There isn't too many people that have gone out of their way to, but those guys, I want to make sure that I appreciate those guys because they like you got to have friends in this game. That's what I realized. Solo was not fun.
Yeah,
I was out there fishing those things and it was cool, but there's nobody to share it with. And
Yeah.
It was more fun to watch you catch a fish or him to catch a fish than it was to catch one by myself. And that's what I've learned the most out of this thing. So
that's the truth.
I want to pay gratitude to all those people that have stuck by me and helped me out, even though I'm not the most efficient. I only go to one store and I only do my things my way. I really appreciate you people. You are the heart and soul of what we do.
Thanks, man. And also, thank you for what you do, man. Love your bait. Go to Performance, support them. Go buy some guys. Great guy. And listen for the next episode. Later, guys.